acid reflux, heartburn, GERD, whatever you want to call it, it can be extremely painful. And you know what? It's often misunderstood and not treated properly, which is why I wanted to make this video today. On my channel, I love sharing all kinds of things to make life more entertaining and more fun, but I also love helping people feel better. So today, I'm going to talk about a problem I've had to deal with for years and years. And I think by the end of this video, a lot of people are going to be optimistic about their future for the first time in a very long time. And I'm excited for you because I'm excited for me. Feels good to feel good again. So if you suffer from heartburn or other GERD symptoms and want to get to the bottom of it, well, let's get into it right now. Quick disclaimer, see a doctor if you need to. There are certain bacteria and infections you might need to be tested for. Don't be a Dave who doesn't like doctors. Go to the doctor, Dave. Just get a checkup. From the research I've done, most cases of GERD are the result of people not having enough stomach acid, as opposed to the common belief that it's caused from having too much acid in the stomach. Now, this is important because most of the ways people treat acid reflux is by taking things like antacids, which could actually make matters worse if you have low acid. Here's the good news. I've got a simple tip you can do at home to back this up. More on that shortly. Here's how acid reflux occurs. Your stomach is lined with mucus that can handle acid. When the acid in your stomach escapes, it goes up and it wreaks havoc on your esophagus. Since your esophagus isn't lined with the same mucus in your stomach which can handle acid, when acid hits your esophagus, it feels like, imagine dripping acid on your skin. Ouch! But that's going on inside your body, and the pain is constant. It is brutal. Now, this all happens because the muscle at the top of your stomach, which connects your stomach and your esophagus, your LES, your lower esophageal sphincter, is weak, and stomach acid and bile pass through it. That muscle which prevents the acid in your stomach from rising up, your LES, you know what makes it contract and stay strong? Sensing acid in your stomach. So when we don't have enough acid in our stomach to keep that muscle flexed, the muscle relaxes. And once it relaxes, even though the acid in our stomach is weaker, it's still acid, which now easily gets through and burns like fire. So adding acid to our stomach triggers that muscle to close and stay strong, which keeps the contents of our stomach where we want it so we can digest our food properly. Now that we understand a little more about what's going on, here's how you can test if you have low acid. And all you need is baking soda. For this test, you have to drink baking soda, and the goal here is to burp. That's why it's called the burp test. Vinegar is an acid. What happens when you put baking soda in vinegar? It reacts. If you have a little, there's a smaller reaction. If you have lots of acid, it has a greater reaction. It's important that this test be performed first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, otherwise you won't get accurate results. You want to dissolve 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda into 4 to 6 ounces of water. Drink that solution and start timing. Record the time it takes for your first burp. If you have not burped within 5 minutes, stop timing and carry on with your daily routine. Repeat the test for a couple days for more accurate results. So, what do the results mean? Well, if you burp within 30 seconds, it usually is an indicator that you have a higher stomach acid. If you burp in less than 2 minutes, it's a pretty normal stomach acid. Between 2 and 5 minutes is a low to normal stomach acid. And if you don't burp or it takes more than 5 minutes, you might have low stomach acidity. When I did the burp test, I didn't burp. I almost felt like it in the first 10 to 15 seconds, but after that, nothing, which indicates that I have low acid. If you're like me and like most other people, there's a very simple solution, and that is to add acid. There are numerous ways to do this, but one of the easiest is by taking apple cider vinegar. I've been taking a mixture of apple cider vinegar and water 3 times a day, and my symptoms have been steadily improving for the last month. I'll share a yummy recipe you can use in the description. There are all sorts of stories of people getting off their PPI medicine after switching to apple cider vinegar. It's cheap, and at the very least, it's worth a try. There are virtually no side effects. If you have too much acid and burp right away, at least now you know, and you can work with that information with your doctor. We still need to get to the bottom of why the acid in our stomach isn't working properly. Here are a few reasons why I think my acid is messed up. Eating too much. I prefer eating big meals as opposed to eating frequently. I think I overload my stomach with too much food, and I often wolf it down.
God, he eats like a pig.
I don't know. Pigs tend to chew. I'd say he eats more like a duck.
When we chew, we secrete saliva, which aids in digestion. That's why moms are like, slow down and chew your food. Well, they're right. I've been eating smaller meals and chewing more thoughtfully. It's been a huge help. Also, and this is a big one, don't drink too much while eating. I often would have a big glass of water with food to fill up the cracks and fill me up. But what happens to acid when you add water? You dilute it and make it weaker. And that's the last thing you want to do when you're eating. Eating too close to bed. Being upright helps the contents stay in your stomach. And when you lay down, gravity can't do its thing and it's much harder to digest. I always hated going to bed hungry, so I'd eat in bed, then go to sleep. While this helped me sleep, and it never hurts at the time, it just causes damage the next day. Your body can handle a few hours without food. You just have to get used to it. Stress. Stress messes you up. It messes with your mind and it messes with your gut. It's important to reduce stress. Avoid trigger foods for now. Tomato sauce and red wine really did a number on me the next day. Oh, some of my favorite things. However, now that my body is starting to heal, I can have these things again in moderation. It's going to take you some time to heal. It might take a month or it might take a couple months. But eventually you won't have to avoid foods like you did before. As long as you understand what is happening, you will be able to avoid that brutal pain that just seemed to happen more often than it should. So the goal is to up the contents of acid in the stomach so that muscle I was talking about earlier, the lower esophageal sphincter, the LES, has a chance to strengthen. You can use apple cider vinegar. There are many other ways to bump up your stomach acid. Be mindful though. Remember, vinegar is an acid and it's bad for the enamel on your teeth. If you drink it, swish your mouth with water after, or consume it with a straw. There is hope for you. I thought I was doomed to a life of no red wine. No! But this has been working for me, and it might work for you too. First things first, do the burp test to determine if you actually have low acid. If you do, start adding acid to your stomach by drinking apple cider vinegar 3 times a day. Maintain this for at least a few weeks to see if you notice any changes. If you don't have low acid, work with your doctor and really put thought into your lifestyle and the choices you're making. Either way, here are some things you can do to keep your GERD at bay. Don't eat too much at once. Eat until about 80% full. Don't rush eating. Chew your food. Avoid eating right before bed. Raise the head of your bed to relieve pressure on your LES. In the short term while you're healing, avoid the fun stuff or your triggers. Alcohol, chocolate, spicy food. For me, tomato sauce. Now, if you have symptoms that are higher up in your throat, you might have silent reflux or LPR. It will be in my next video, which I will link here. Please like this video and sub to the channel if you got value from it, and we'll see you next time on The Sad Life.
Dad!